Kalkadosh Boker Or, Masechet Zevachim Daf Yomi Daf Kuf Daled Amud Aleph 104a1 says the Gemara. We were just speaking about right now. Umay Achar Hevshet. What does it mean now after Hevshet? So he says it's fitting before Shenid U Levshet. The Achar Shenid U Levshet. He says one's talking about before it was fitting for Hevshet, and one was talking about after Shenid U Levshet. Right? Again, Nidu means that it's fitting for Hevshet. Okay, says the Gemara. My Rabbi, Umay Rabbi Lazar Rabbi Shimon. What is Rabbi and what is Rabbi Lazar Shimon? The Tanya we learned in a Braita. Rabbi says, Hadam miratzeh ala or bifnei atzmo. The dam is going to be miratzeh ala or, right, on its own. Ukshehu ima basar. Now, when it's going to be with the basar, right, nolad bo psul ben kodem zrika ben leachar zrika, whether it was before the zrika or after the zrika, hareu kayotze bo. So it's going to be like the same halacha of the or. Rabbi Lazar Rabbi Shimon says, "En adam meratzeh ala or bifnei atzmo." The dam is not going to be meratzeh ala or by itself. But when it's going to be with the basar, nolad bo psul kodem zrika, it's going to have the psul before the zrika. Hareu kayotze bo. So then it's going to be like this, the same halacha. That what? That if it's going to be achar zrika hurtza basar sha'achat, right? And then you have shitenu v'orol kohanim, which means the fact that it's going to be hurtza. Remember, hurtza means that it was wanted, meaning it was accepted in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The second, it's going to be hurtza basar sha'achat, at least one moment, right? One hour, literally. So you have shitenu v'orol kohanim. So then you're going to do hafshet. What is hafshet? You skin the animal, right? And then what? And then the or goes to the kohanim. So says the Gemara. Why don't we just say that this is arguing in the shita of Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Yoshua? Why? The Tanya was learned to the Braita. Right? He says you're going to do the olah, the basar v'adam. Rabbi Yoshua says im en dam in basar. If there's no dam, there's no basar. Im en basar in dam. If there's no dam, there's no basar, no basar, no dam. Rabbi Eliezer says dam af al pi she'eno basar. Dam even though there's no basar. Shneimar v'dam zevachecha yishafech. So if so, Matamul Omar, what is it coming to teach you then afterwards when it comes and he says Vasita Olotecha, right? That you're going to do it the Basar V'Adam. Lomar lecha to tell you, Madam Bizrika, just like the dam, you have to come and you're going to sprinkle the blood. Af Basar, so too the Basar is going to be Bizrika. Halamanta, so you learn from here, Sherevach Yesh Ben Kevesh La Mizbeach, that there's going to be a little space between the Kevesh and the Mizbeach. Remember the ramp, when it went up, there was a little space between the Kevesh and the Mizbeach. So he says, and the Kohen that was Maktir, the Evrei Olah, he used to stand on the Rosh HaKevesh, and the Rosh HaKevesh, and he used to throw it, right, the Basar, right, through the air, right, onto the fire of the Mizbeach. Okay? So Leima Manda Amar, what do we just say according to the Manda Amar? Hurtza Rabbi Eliezer. Manda Amar lo Hurtza, he's going like Rabbi Yoshua, which means that if you're going to tell me now that the Or Shat is Hurtza Bifnei Atzmo, that goes according to Rabbi Eliezer, that he says that the Dama Korban is going to sprinkled even if there's no Basar, which is to permit it. But according to the Mandama, which was Rabbi Elazar Shimon, that he says that Or Shat lo Hurtza by itself, he holds like Rabbi Yoshua. So he says, Aliba de Rabbi Eliezer kulam alo plige. According to Rabbi Eliezer, nobody argues. Ki plige, when is the machloket? Aliba only according to Rabbi Yoshua. Mandamar, according to the Mandamar, that he comes and he says, right, lo hurtza, right, he holds like Rabbi Yoshua. Mandamar hurtza, Amalecha is going to tell you, I can't come Rabbi Yoshua hatam el basar. That's only going to be by a sar, delek apsei del kohanim, because there's nothing lacking of the kohanim. But by the or, dik apsei del kohanim, that the kohanim are losing by the or, because if they don't get the skins, what are the kohanim going to get? Skin. He wants skins. They want something. So afilu, what do you think they like skin? So he says afilu Yeshua modeh midi dehava adiavad. Right? Midi dehava, just like it's going to be b'diavad. The Tanya was learned to the Braita. Nitzma basar nifsalo she'etza chutz haklaim. Rabbi Eliezer says yizrok, sprinkle the blood. Rabbi Yeshua omer lo yizrok. Mod Rabbi Yoshua shim zarak urtza. But if you did do it, it's going to be urtza. Fine. Next part. You remember we saw Rav Chanina Zekan Kohanim coming and giving a testimony. And he says, Miyamai lo ra'iti shiyotze, that the or yotze lebet ha-srfa. You remember he went and he said, I never saw in my lifetime that the skins were taken to be burnt. I've never seen that. That's what he said. So one sec. So that's Rav Chanina Zekan Kohanim. So says the Gemara, Velo, are you going to tell me that never there was a case that skins go out to be burnt? He says, you have the parim and nisrafim and the sirim and nisrafim. These are chataot pnimiyot. Now, since they're going to be burnt outside of Yerushalayim, they go out lebet ha-srefa with the skins. So they do go with the skins.
Yeah, but was the meat inside?
So the Gemara says, "Lemitzvatan lo kamanitan." Obviously, there we're talking about There, that was a mitzvah. The mitzvah was to take the entire animal and you burn it outside. So that's something different than we're not here. We're talking about that the skin by itself,
So he says,
right?
He says, I never saw, not the skin. I never saw the skin by itself.
Exactly. That's what the Gemara answers. So says the Gemara, "Hare kodem hevshet vekodem zrika." He says, yeah, 1 second, but what about before hevshet and before zrika? So he says that again, the or of the korban is pasul. So he says, chalutz kamninan. Maze chalutz. We're talking about an or after that they skinned it, and not on the or which is still mechubar to the meat. Okay. So he comes and he says, va'ika achad hevshet vekodem zrika. You have the hevshet and the zrika. So he says, according to Rabbi Shimon, Damar en adam meratzeh ala or b'fnei atzmo, that it's not going to be meratzeh on the or. So answers the Gemara, Rabbi Chanina k'Rabbi Sviralei. He says, Rabbi Chanina, he holds like Rabbi. Okay, v'iba itema. Aywa baba haki in and out. Yeah, so he comes and he says, Rabbi Chanina holds like Rabbi. Okay, that's the first answer. V'iba itema, if you want, you can answer. Afilu tukma k'Rabbi Lazar b'Shimon, even if you're going to tell me it's like Rabbi Lazar b'Shimon, Rabbi admits she'en efshet kodem zrika. You remember we said that the first thing that you do is shechita. After shechita, what do you do?
Skinning.
Kabbalat Adam. Kabbalat Adam. You receive the blood. After Kabbalat Adam, what do you do? Zrika. And after Zrika, you do the skinning. So the skinning is only after you already sprinkled the blood on the Mizbeach. Okay? So says the Gemara, Ve'ayika nimtzet trefa b'nei ma'im. He says, yeah, 1 second, you have another case. What happens if it became a trefa in the b'nei ma'im? So now, according to this, you've got a problem. You have to burn it now. So answers the Gemara, Kasavar. Yeah, burn everything. So he comes and he says, Kasavar nimtzet trefa b'nei ma'im miratzeh. He says, no, it's going to be okay on the blood. Meaning the blood is going to be miratzeh, the skin. So therefore the skin is going to be okay. Okay, that means according to the Shita. V'dekanami diktani, you could also deduce it, but it says Rabbi Akiva, Idvarav lamanu shemashit et bechol v'nimtzat trefa, sheyehutu hakohanim beorot, the kohanim could benefit from the skins. Shema mina. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, Ve'ela, my kamashvalan, so what's it coming to teach you? He says, Rabbi Akiva, my kamashvalan, Rabbi Akiva, hakamashvalan, that afilu b'gvulin. He's going to tell you that even if it became, right, to refine the gvulin, which is outside of the Bet HaMikdash, it's the same halacha. So Amar Rabbi Chia bar Rabbi Yochanan alcha Rabbi Akiva, the halacha zek Rabbi Akiva. Ve'av Rabbi Akiva lo amar, ela keshetiru mumche. Only when a mumche came and he said that it's going to be mutar, אבל לא יתירו mumche, lo, but if not, it's not going to permit the or. V'hilchata k'divrei chachamim, but the halacha like the chachamim that they argue on Rabbi Chanina Sagan HaKohanim, right? And they say that no, that there does exist. That basically, if right now became lemafreya, became terefar psula, you have to come and you have to take the or and you have to burn it. That's halacha, like the chachamim. Again, one more time. What did the chachamim say? That no, you do burn the or. What are we talking about? Let's say you came and you found out that the korban was terefar or whatever it is. So now you're going to come and you're going to burn the skin as well. So the kohanim do not get the skins. Okay?
But they don't burn it.
That's chachamim, and that's how we pass it. Parim anisrafim, usrim anisrafim. Yeah, we're talking about right now parim and the sinim, the bulls and the he-goats that are going to be burnt. Bizman shehen nisrafim kemitzvatan, when they're going to be burnt according to their mitzvah, nisrafim betadeshin, they're going to be done in betadeshin, metamein begadim, and they're going to be metameh the begadim of the people that they're actually dealing with it. If it's not going to be like their mitzvah, nisrafim beveta bira, so it's going to be beveta bira, teira metamim begadim shelahem, and it's not going to be metameh the begadim shelahem. Hayu kufdalad amubet, yeah, 104b says Mishnah, hayu sovlinoto. Right, if they were carrying it b'motot with motot are like poles, right? Yatzu rishonim, right? Chutz lechomat hazara. Well, the first ones they went outside of the walls of the hazara. V'achronim lo yatzu, and the other ones didn't. Harishonim metamim begadim, v'achronim metamim begadim. Yatzu until they go out. After they go out, elu v'elu metamim begadim. It's going to be metameh the begadim
outside.
Yeah, outside. Yes. Okay. Now he says, Rabbi Shimon Omer, until the fire is going to go in the majority of the ivarim. Nitacha basar, and once the basar starts getting burnt and completely burnt, it's not going to be metamim. Says the Gemara, my bira. What does it mean now when it says the word bira? So he comes and he says, right? Amar Rabbi Yochanan says Rabbi Yochanan name of Rabbi Yochanan. Makom yesh behar habayit ubira shemo. Right? There's a place in the Har Habayit and its name is called Bira. Yeah, Bet Bira, exactly. So he says ubira shemo. Rish Lakish amar kol habayit kulo is called the Bira. Right? Because really, behemet, a Bira is like a palace, right? It's like a big place, right?
The capital.
Yeah. Ira Bira, right? Bet Bira, right? It's like a very big thing.
Is it like Kodesh Kodashim is the Bira?
No, here it's mashma, it's everything. The entire Bet HaMikdash. He says, Vela bira sherechinoti. So the entire Bet HaMikdash is called bira. So Amar Rav Nachman Rav Yehoshua Shelosha Bet Adeshanina. Do you know there were three Bet Adeshans? Bet Adeshan Gadol was in the Azara. Shesham Sofim Psulei Kodeshei Kodeshim. That they used to burn the Psulei Kodeshei Kodeshim. Ve'mureh Kadeshim Kalim, and also the Mureh Kadeshim Kalim. Parim Ezuvim Ezuvim She'era Be'Psul Kodem Zrika. Ubet Adeshan Echer Haya Be'Har HaBayit. There was another one in Har HaBayit. Shesham Sofim Parim Sofim Psulim She'era Be'Psul Achar Zrika. After the Zrika. Chumitzatan. Now, when it was done, like the halacha, chutz shalosh machanot, outside of Yerushalayim. So Tani Levi, shlosha bet adeshin yaniyu, bet adeshin agadol yeh bazara, shesham hayu sofim psulei kol shekadashim v'mekadashim kalim bazirim v'zivim sheira b'hem psul, ben kol mezichal v'chazika. So the only difference between this one and the previous one is that even if it's going to be before or after the zrika, it's still going to be burnt inside the Bet HaMikdash, which that's the bet adeshin agadol bazara. Right? Then there was a bet adeshin, another one which was in Har HaBayit, that they used to burn the sofim, parim and sofim, shiram and psul b'yitziatam, when they go outside of the azara, uchmitzatan, right? And when they used to burn it, right, b'vedeshan ashlishi, which was outside, right, the machanot, which is outside Yerushalayim. So this is like the previous one. Uchmitzatan chutz l'shosh machanot. So that's why that's the third one. That's why there's always three. There's one in the azara, one in the how do you call this? One in the azara, one in Har HaBayit, and one outside of the shalosh machanot, which means outside of Jerusalem. Okay, there's three bet adeshans. Yeah, three places where you burn the things. By Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yirmiyah comes in now and he asks the following question: what is going to be the halacha to do with lina? Lina, lina. You know what lina is? Sleeping, meaning like overnight. So lina, does that help by parim and safim and safim and safim? So he says, Amrina and do we say, mi amrina and do we say, ki mehanya lina, that it helps to do with the basar, devar achila, that it's something of eating. Aval hani, but here it's not eating. You don't need it. So low. So there's no difference then to do with the psul. Or dilma loshna, maybe there's no difference between the eating and not, right? Between all these halachot or not. So Rava says, he had this question, and he answered it from this. It says, V'shavin, shimchishev ba'achilat parim u'srivatan lo asa klum. If he was thinking about the achilat parim u'srivim, shelo asa klum, he didn't do anything. My lover, we're not talking about nami, the mechashava la pasla lina, nami lo pasla, it wasn't posel. So says the Gemara, V'dilma, but maybe, machshava de lo pasla, v'lina pasla. Says maybe it's only you're not going to be posel b'machshava, but lina does. Remember, machshava is like pigul or things like that. That it's not going to be posel, but maybe to do with lina it does. So Tashma, we're going to try to bring a proof then. Parim and Isafim Olim Bahen. There is a problem of Mila, Mishu Gdushu, once it becomes Hegdesh. Nishchatu, once you do the Shchita, Uksheru becomes prepared. Lipasel Tvul Yom Kavlim Lina. My love, we're not talking about now when it says Lina, it's Lina Basar. So answers the Gemara, no. The Lina Temurin. So says the Gemara, V'ami Diktani Seifa, and the Seifa when it says Kulam Olim Bevet Adeshen, Ad Shiyutacha Basar, means the Seifa Basar. So Reish is also talking about the Basar. Meaning there's two types of Lina. Lina means that you're leaving it over until the next day. One of them is on the basar, and one of them is on the actual korban and everything. So he says, Midi Idia, can you compare both cases? The seifa is the basar, and the reisha is the murin, right? No, you can't compare. The seifa is talking about basar. The reisha is talking about the limbs of the animal in order to bring it to burn them. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof. To Tani Levi, that Levi came and he taught, and he says like this. It says, Sheira b'hem psul b'yitziatan. When we're talking about that, what happens if you have a psul that happened when you took them out of the zara? Remember, if you have a korban and you take it out of the zara, it becomes pasul because it was already inside the Bet HaMikdash and it was done all the things on it. So we're not talking about now lina. So he says no, we're talking about a psul tumah and psul yitzia that it came outside of the zara. So by Rabbi Elazar asks yitzia, right? When you take it outside, is it going to help to do with the parim yisufim? So says the Gemara, what's the question? My coming baile. So he says like this: Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, aliba demanda amar she'adayin lo higia zmano latzet. It didn't come its time to go out yet. Mi amrina, do we say hanimile b'basar? That's only going to be basar, the right the enso follow tzil chova, that you're not going to be tzil chova. Aval hani, that you are going to be tzil chova lo. Or dimar maybe be'emet hachanami lo higia zmano latzet. It still didn't come the proper time to take it outside. So he says Tashema Tani Levi sheliva psul b'tziato. If there was a psul that came out, right? So therefore, we're not talking about psul yitzia that it came outside of the azara. So the answer is no. We're talking about psul of tum'ah and lina. That means not the ones of the, not a psul of going outside of the azara, but a psul of tum'ah, making a tameh and lina. So by Rabbi Elazar comes and he asks, Mao, what's halacha? Meaning only a part of the ever went outside of the azara, not the entire thing. So he says, do you say the mute of the ever bataruba, you go after the rov, and therefore it didn't go outside. V'alo nafkale. Or dimar maybe, but taruba de be'ema, you go after the majority of the animal. So says the Gemara, pshita lo sheginu ruba de be'ema v'zlim bataru. For sure, we're not going to go after the majority of the animal, right? And we're going to go after the rov of the limbs. Ela, but rather yatzah chetzio, half of it came out. Berov ever, right? Outside with the rov of one ever. High miuta de ever. What about the miut of the ever that stays on the inside? Do you go after the rov, right? The hanafakle and went outside. Meaning, I took out the majority of the animal with the majority of one limb. Now, the minority of the limb is still on the inside. Right. So, what do I say? Do I say that you throw it after the majority, and therefore it's going to be a problem? Or Dima, you go after the majority of the animal, and therefore the animal, right? There's no problem because we're not going to say, right, that it's considered outside. Take, we don't have an answer, and tomorrow we're going to see another also as well.